Hello everyone, and this is my review for TNA Impact Wrestling on April 25th, 2013. And overall, I felt Impact Wrestling this week was actually a fairly good show. First hour, not so much on the match quality. They only had really 2 matches, and they weren't all that great to begin with. With Tara Terrell and Tara, I mean, that was pretty much just a glorified squash match with the face coming back at the end to gain like this sneak attack, this sneak in win at the end, and then Jesse and Rob Terry, which really didn't lead to much. It seemed like they were trying to team up Robbie E and Jesse a little bit there. But the first hour had good quality promo time, which I definitely enjoyed. I enjoyed seeing throughout the entire time, starting out with James Storm talking about his match last week with AJ Styles, and then of course Kazarian and Daniels come out, and I liked throughout the entire first hour, especially at the beginning here, with how Kaz and Daniels were trying to reform Fortune, talking to Bobby Roode and AJ Styles, saying, you know, James Storm doesn't really need to be there, but them trying to reform Fortune in general. I actually enjoyed what they were doing there, and I'll talk about the end of that basically going into a little bit later. But of course, or James Storm attacks Kaz and Daniels, which, you know, they eventually lay him out, which eventually leads to Aces and Eights coming out, because Storm had initially called them out to begin with, right from the get-go, and, you know, just led to a further beatdown, which eventually led to Joseph Park coming out and getting himself beat down as well, and then put through the table via 3D. So that was definitely a nice little segment. And then basically, the first hour ended with Bobby Roode and Austin Aries versus Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez. You had a few little promos backstage where you had, of course, Daniels and Kazarian talking to Bobby Roode about reforming Fortune. And then, of course, the actual promo between Bobby Roode and Austin Aries talking about what had happened backstage, and, you know, need to go out there for that match type deal. Good fun segments to see there. The match between Bobby Roode and Austin Aries and Chavo Guerrero and Hernandez was again a really good match between them. This time around, they threw in a lot of interference between Kazarian and Daniels, trying to help out Bobby Roode in the end and everything, and of course eventually just cost them at the end of the match, leading into Chavo and Hernandez getting the win. So that was pretty much the first hour. The second hour focused a lot more on the Knockouts title, which I'll get into in a moment. Also, Matt Morgan talking about the Aces and Eights and wanting to help out Hulk Hogan, saying, you know, he was the only one left that could help him. And of course, Hogan ended up turning him down, mainly because he said, you know, I'll help you if you give me a world title shot at that moment. And I like where Matt Morgan is going on the mic, and I'm liking that they're beginning to look like they're going to do a little bit more there. Maybe in the end he will get a world title shot at some point. I like Matt Morgan on the mic. I like him in the ring. He can definitely do a lot of good in both sections, and he's just waiting for that breakout moment. Hopefully they'll give it to him here in the near future. I'll talk about the confrontation with Bully Ray and Hulk Hogan at the end. Now this leads into what was the Knockouts title match, which was Mickie James versus Velvet Sky. I like the aspect that they continued on with the whole knee injury deal, because last week they had done this whole promo about how Velvet Sky had hurt her knee in a previous tag match, and I like the aspect that they continued on with that throughout this entire match. I like you got the moment where Velvet Sky buckled her knee, and then of course Mickie James just started working over the knee the entire time. It was a good, in that sense, it was a really good match. It was a really good, well done match between the two of them, because of them focusing on the injury, and then eventually Velvet Sky pulling out the victory in the end. It did come off really well. I think they're slowly going to be turning Mickie James into a heel. It would probably work out for the best in this case, mainly because it seems that they'll have her focusing on the Knockouts title. It would probably be best to have Mickie James eventually turn heel, and you can see the wheels turn slowly into a heel turn for her, and this will probably just be one of those little incidents that will eventually make her into a heel at some point in time. So we'll see where that goes here in the future, and this basically leads to the Bully Ray Hulk Hogan confrontation, which all in all was very predictable, because you had Bully Ray come out there initially, and Bully Ray's great, is just great on the microphone with everything he was saying, talking about the people he'd taken out and everything, and Hogan was going to be the last one they would need to take out before they were fully in control of TNA, and of course Hulk Hogan stopped him initially, and then you had Aces and Eights surround the ring, and basically the most predictable portion of it was this would be the return of Sting, which did end out happening. I actually don't mind that. I did like the little moment right before he started attacking Aces and Eights that he was pointing the bat at Hulk Hogan, and making it look like he was going to turn on Hogan, maybe join Aces and Eights. That was a nice little added touch that they threw in there, but that wasn't going to be the case. You knew that wouldn't be the case. Typically with Sting, he was going to side with Hogan, and we'll see where that goes from the onset, whether that leads into Sting versus Bully Ray at some point in time, or even for Slammiversary. I kind of don't hope for that, but more than likely that's where they're gonna go. So overall, that was pretty much the overview of the entire show. Overall, I felt Impact Wrestling this week was actually relatively good. It wasn't good match quality wise in the first hour, but they made up for it in the promos. You got some better matches in the second hour with the tag title match and the Knockouts title match, and you still had some really good promo work going in there. The aspect of Kazarian and Daniels trying to reform Fortune with AJ and Bobby Roode, and trying to leave James Storm out of it, and there was a nice touch to the show. Of course, it came back to bite him in the backside right at the end of the tag team title match, where they cost Bobby Roode and Austin Aries the tag titles. Sting returning to help out Hogan, though predictable, was a nice way of doing everything, because you didn't want Aces and Eights basically taking out Hulk Hogan at this point in time. So that was a nice way of going, and overall, like I said, I felt it was a pretty good show. It'll be interesting to see what they do next week. They have promoted the return of Chris Sabin next week, so should be an interesting one for definitely a good addition to the X division in that sense. So yeah, that's my review for TNA Impact Wrestling this week. I thank you guys for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.